Yo, what's up, guys? Tonight we finally did it. We took on Uber Lilith with our Hydra source. I'm going to share this build with you guys. I'm going to share my aspect, skills, and Paragon with you, and some of the stuff I did to help the build move forward. I hope you guys enjoy it, and I'll show you guys a little clip at the end of the video. See you at the end. So let's start with the skills. In basics, we're going to put 2 points in Firebolt. We're going to move down to core skills. We're going to put 2 points into Frozen Orb, all the way up to Greater Frozen Orb. We're then going to move down to defensives, and we're going to put 1 point in Flame Shield, 1 point in Shimmering Flame Shield. We're then going to move to teleport. We're going to put 1 point into teleport, all the way up to Shimmering Teleport. We're going to put 3 points into Glass Cannon, and 1 point into Elemental Attunement. Moving down to Frost Nova, we're going to take 1 point into Frost Nova, all the way down to Mystical Frost Nova. After that, we're going to move down to the Conjuration. We're going to max out Hydra, all the way up to Summoned Hydra. We're then going to move down to Ice Blades, and put points all the way up into Summoned Ice Blades. We're going to move down, we're going to put 1 point into Lightning Spear, and 1 point into Invoked Lightning Spear. Moving over, we're going to put 3 point into Conjuration Mastery, 1 point into Align the Elements, and 3 points into Protection. Once we're done with Conjuration, we're going to move down to Mastery. We're going to put 3 points into Icy Veil, 3 points into Inner Flames, 3 points into Devouring Blaze, and 1 point into Crippling Flames for those stuns with our Hydras. We're then going to move down to Ultimate. We're going to put 1 point into Permafrost, 3 points into Hoarfrost, 1 point into Fiery Surge, and 3 points into Endless Fire. We're going to move down to our key passives. Last but not least, we're going to put into Combustion, because Combustion now gives us 20% multiplicative increased damage and an additional 2% multiplicative per unique source of burning you have applied to the enemy. This is massive for us. This gives us a big damage boost. Let's move on to the gear. So moving on to the gear, we're going to start off with the helmet. Exploiters. You have 20% increased crowd control duration. While enemies are unstoppable, you deal 36% multiplicative increased damage to them. This ranges from 20 to 40. And we also went with 4 ranks of Hydra on our helmet to help with the damage boost of our Hydras. We're going to move down to the armor, which is Raiment of the Infinite. This is amazing for us, as when we teleport, it stuns for 2.5 seconds. This is huge because it increases our damage, and the cooldown is reduced by 20%. Moving down to the gloves, we've got Serpentine, which you may have 1 additional Hydra active, and Hydra's duration is increased by 21%. This ranges from 14 to 24%. We're going to get 4 points of Frozen Orb on the gloves to add to the damage of our Frozen Orb. We're then going to move down to our pants. Disobedience. You gain 0.50% multiplicative increased armor for 4 seconds. When you deal any form of damage stacking up to 30%, it is multiplicative. Now what you want on these is you kind of want a bunch of damage reduction on your pants, so you want to look for the best ones that suit you. Moving to the boots, Ghost Walkers. While unstoppable and for 4 seconds after, you gain 10%, which it varies 10 to 25%. These are just the regular codex aspect I put on. Increased movement speed and can move freely through enemies. You want 4 ranks of teleport and 4 ranks of Frost Nova for that extra stagger and the movement speed to get past the skulls that Lilith pushes out of her butt, or the boils, you'd say. Another thing is you're going to want 3 to max evade charges if you can. This is very beneficial to us. Moving down to the weapon, we went with Splintering Energy. Lightning Spear has a 49%. It ranges from 41 to 50% chance to spawn an additional Lightning Spear when you cast it. This is good for us, as Lightning Spear increases our critical strike chance and multiplicative damage, and gives us another chance to have an extra one on the go. giving us 2 lightning spears. Moving on to the offhand, Edge Masters. Edge Masters gives us a multiplicative damage increase when our primary resource is full. This is huge for us. On your offhand, you're going to want to kind of go with resource generation, mana cost reduction, and 10% cool. You want cooldown reduction and as much critical strike chance as you can get. You can change it depending on how you play. The Ring. Conceded. Deal 24 multiplicative increased damage while you have a barrier active. We're always trying to pop our barrier, as sorcerers don't have much DR, so we rely on our barrier. Moving on to the next ring, Accelerating. Accelerating critical strikes with core skills increase your attack speed by 21%. This is not multiplicative, this is plus damage. The increased attack speed helps with your Hydra. This is very beneficial for the Hydras as they shoot plasma magma out of their mouths a lot faster than what they normally would, giving you a damage increase. And last but not least, the Amulet. Control. You deal 50% multiplicative, which does range from 38 to 53, more damage to immobilize, stun, or frozen enemies. We are constantly trying to freeze enemies, immobilize, and stun them with our Hydras. This is a huge increase when you're doing the Lilith fight and she spawns her adds and you Frost Nova and freeze the adds into place, or you're trying to deal with boils. Now, the hearts that we took were Wrathful Heart. Critical strikes and all subsequent damage within 3.5 seconds. This ranges from 4 to 2 seconds. Is absorbed by your target, then the absorbed damage erupts into the surrounding enemies. Stored damage is increased by 14 multiplicative % damage. This is called the Barber. We're going to move on to Talrasha's Heart. For each unique element you deal damage with, you deal 10.5% multiplicative damage. This varies from 7 to 12%. Increased damage for 10 to it ranges from 5 to 11 seconds. I have a 10 seconds. We're then going to move on to the next heart. 18% of all incoming damage is instead suppressed when you use a defensive, subterfuge, and a macabre skill. All suppressed damage is amplified by 250% multiplicative and explodes, dealing up to 17,000. This does range from 15,516 to 19,395. Fire damage to nearby enemies. So this is the gear that I have chosen. You guys can play with it. I have gotten lucky on quite a few of the item slots I have filled in. I do have other gear I can fill in here. But for the most part, you're going to want to try to get 3 to Conjuring Mastery and 3 to Conjuration skills. If you can get faster run walk, that is a bonus. Or if you can get Conjuration skill damage, which increases your Barber explosion by a lot. The enchantments that we used are going to be Frozen Orb enchantment. Frozen Orb explosion has a 30% chance to make all enemies hit vulnerable for 2 seconds. Frozen Orb always makes frozen enemies vulnerable. This is amazing because when things are vulnerable, we do a lot more damage with our Hydras. It just keeps moving, and plus we get a lot of damage from the Frozen Orb or the orb itself. Moving on to Ice Blades, we took the Ice Blade enchantment. Ice Blade cooldown is reduced by 0.5 seconds each time it hits a vulnerable enemy. 20% of enhanced Ice Blade's cooldown reduction is applied to your other skills. Now, it chilled enemies. So chilled enemies have reduced movement speed. Repeatedly chilling an enemy will freeze it. Now, you can get like 10 of these suckers going. You can get them, they can just be flying off. The more your cooldown, it's extremely beneficial to have those cooldown, or that cooldown reduction, as it brings all your other defensives down too. So you can spam them a lot more often, keeping you alive and doing more damage because you're able to get your skills out a lot quicker. So that is it for the build, like the gear side of it. Let's move on to the Paragons, and I will show you guys that here right away. Let's check it out. So on to the Paragon. So in the first board, we're going to go ahead and take Elementalist. 22.5% non-physical damage. Dealing fire, cold, or lightning damage to an enemy increases all damage you deal to them by 5 multiplicative for 10 seconds, stacking once per element. Once we're done in the first board, we're going to move up and we're going to go ahead and we're going to go look at Static Surge. On Static Surge, we're going to go ahead and go with Conjurer. And Conjurer, 198% Conjuration skill damage. Conjuration skills have 20% increased duration. This is crazy because we're always popping our Hydras, and our Conjuration skills is what gives us all of the damage that we are doing to the mobs. Once we're done there, we're going to go ahead and move over to Elemental Summoner. In an Elemental Summoner board, we're going to go ahead and take Flame Feeder. Flame Feeder, 67.3% damage to burning enemies. You deal 10% multiplicative increased direct damage to burning enemies. This is crazy because we got our Hydras, we're always putting burn down, we're doing a lot of fire damage, and this is just helps increase all of the damage that we do altogether. Once we're done in Elemental Summoner, we're going to move up to the next board, which is going to be Frigid Fate. And in Frigid Fate, we're going to be taking Territorial. 57.4% damage to close enemies. You gain 15% damage reduction against close enemies. This is good because we don't have much damage reduction, and we're always going to be up close to our targets, trying to freeze them and casting Frost Nova and Flame Shield to stay alive. And plus the extra damage to close enemies is pretty crazy. It's amazing. After we're done here, we're going to move over and we're going to go to Burning Instinct. Now this board is going to line up with Static Surge and Frigid Fate. And in this board, we're going to go ahead and come up to Burning Instinct. Your burning damage is increased by 40% of your critical strike damage, further increased by 5% for every 20 intelligence you have. This is huge for us because this gives us such a big damage boost. It's insane. And with combustion in 1.1.1, we got a really big damage increase. And the board that we have here, just in case you missed, is going to be Burning Instinct. And in there, we're going to be taking Exploit. 26.9% vulnerable damage, dealing damage to vulnerable enemies, increases your damage by 1%. It is multiplicative for 6 seconds, up to 10%. This is crazy because we're always making things vulnerable with Nova, with our Hydras, and it just lines perfectly up with our Ice Blades too. Once we're done in this board, we're going to move on to our last board. And our last board is going to be Ceaseless Conduit. And in Ceaseless Conduit, we're going to put Destruction. In Destruction, 97% critical strike damage. Critical strikes increase all damage the enemy takes from you by 2%, which is multiplicative for 10 seconds, up to 12% multiplicative. So this is it for the Paragon boards. Let's go talk a little bit. Yo, what's up, guys? I hope you guys enjoyed that build. I've enjoyed this build so much. I'd like to thank Barricade, who does stream on Twitch TV, and myself, Virtual1670. I do also stream on Twitch TV. I'd like to thank him for the inspiration to this build and helping me out and giving me a lot of support while trying to kill Lilith. I probably put about 700-800 attempts plus into killing Lilith, and he was there by my side the whole way. So, Cade, thank you very much. I love you, brother. And that being said, I will add a clip to the end of this video, and I hope you guys enjoy it. If you guys have any questions, don't forget to ask in the comments. You can come check me out on Twitch TV. That's Virtual1670. If you guys need anything, let me know. If you guys like the video, put a thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe. Only if you want to. I'm not going to make you. But I hope you guys have an amazing night or morning, whatever it be. And thank you for watching. And let's go to the clip. See you guys later. Oh, this is a messed up one. Oh.